So, hello guys, welcome back to that 90s Kid podcast. Today I have my friend with me, Tarushi. Tarushi, say hi to everyone.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Tarushi has her own podcast. And the link to her podcast I'll put in the description and the footnote of this episode. Today we are, as I promised all of you, we are going to talk about the shows that we grew up watching. And Tarushi, what is your experience from the 90s? What is your first memory of a TV show that you watched?
यार मेरे को तो बचपन का शक्तिमान याद है. I mean, that's also because every Sunday I used to get up very early and I used to finish my homework. And I remember this thing because Shaktimaan used to telecast, I think, around 12 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes.
And used to wake up early in the morning, finish our homeworks, finish breakfast and everything in front of the TV and just to watch Shaktimaan. I remember this very clearly because that's one thing I used to do every week.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one of the finest memories I have of these shows. And with this lockdown and these shows airing again, it's been marvelous.
Yeah, basically, it reminds you of the good times that we spent as children, And I remember, like, when back in 90s, we had only Doordarshan, and then another channel from Doordarshan came, which was called DD Metro, if you remember that.
Right, yes, because before all this was not there, no? These other channels were slowly coming up on television, but there wasn't that great response to those things.
Yeah, and I remember, like, my first memory is watching Mahabharat on, Doordarshan. So I was like around 4 or 5 years old, and I used to watch Mahabharat on Doordarshan. And apart from Mahabharat, I used to watch. There was one more show, if you remember. It was called Chandrakanta.
God, you know what? I never managed to watch Chandrakanta, but I used to watch a little bit. Like, if the show was going on, I used to see a glimpse of it, of something, but I never sat through Chandrakanta because I think I was more of that Shaktimaan kid. So that kind of mythology never kicked me. But I do remember watching sometimes Ramayan. I guess so. When I think rerun ho raha tha, tab dekha hoga.
Right. And what was your first television experience like? You guys had a black and white television or a color one?
Oh, I'll tell you this fun thing, okay? So You remember every house used to have those antennas on the terrace?
Yes.
Even we had it, okay? And whenever there used to be some disturbance on television, I used to go up and settle it for my parents. I mean, they used to. I don't know why parents send the kids upstairs. Yeah, we were kids. हम लोगों को कुछ हो जाता तो.
So for people who are listening right now, you guys, if you don't know what an antenna is, just Google 90s television antenna, okay, and you will see an aluminium structure. So, and that aluminium structure was the dish antenna for us at that time. And usually, what used to happen if a bird came and sat on top of it, or the wind is, in a really high speed, antenna used to get turned around, and then we don't receive any signal.
God,
in that case, we had to go to the roof and adjust it, and the mom or dad would shout from the room, "Arey aa
gaya." So this was like one of the memories. But when we talk about television in such, like specifically, I remember shifting from Doordarshan to shows like Tutu Meme and Hum Paanch, Hippe Purre. These all shows, these are the ones with whom I grew up. Just Mohabbat. These were those young shows that I used to watch in my, when I was a kid, and I used to be like, damn, what a school life, yeah, what a college life, yeah. उसमें से ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ real life में मेरे साथ.
No, and I strongly believe that 90s television was much better in as far as content goes compared to 2020 and 2019, because we were following the same, like in US you have weekly shows, right? So in 90s we used to get only weekly shows.
Right, absolutely. I agree to that. I mean, we watched and grew up. Those were one of the best shows. It was not just comedy shows, there were a lot of shows that time. I remember watching shows like Astitwa and Kora Kagaz, the one with shows, Hina, all these shows, they were very impactful shows, that time.
So let me tell you my first television memory. Okay, so my father bought a television when I was like 2 or 3 years old, right? And that was a
Right.
black and white television from a company called Texla. I don't know if they make televisions anymore or not. Okay,
Wow.
and that television had only 4 channels. So like,
Okay.
so you can switch between only 4 channels in on that, and it had a knob on it. You had to go and twist that knob, and I broke that knob so many times.
Oh, I remember these televisions. I think I've
Yes.
seen them in किसी घर में देखा होगा मैंने.
Hmm. And that television, because back in 1992-93, we didn't had continuous electricity supply, right? So it had a
Yeah.
point to connect battery, so you can watch TV when there is no electricity. Because उस time पे there was no inverters and generators वाला concept, right?
I don't remember this, but dude, that must have been so difficult to do. To connect it with a battery to watch the television, man. I remember having those beautiful television sets at home. Television, that those racks, those were specially made for television.
The
Remember?
ones with the shutter.
Right. I mean, those were bought specifically for televisions. I mean,
Exactly.
they were so beautiful, yeah.
Exactly. And also, which was the first movie that you watched? Remember?
Yeah, I don't remember the first movie, but I remember all the shit movies that I followed later in life on Z Cinema, Star Gold, or especially Suryavansham.
I remember watching Mera Naam Joker for the first time on Doordarshan.
God, that was a very long movie, yeah?
Yeah, it is a really long movie. And we sat on a Sunday afternoon, I guess, because उस time पे like they used to telecast movies in Sunday afternoon, right? Right after Shaktimaan. And I was so bored in that movie. Yeah, it was like three and a half, almost 4 hours long if you include the breaks and everything. And yeah, man. मतलब, उसके बाद then when we got cable connection, then it was like Z Horror Show was one of the best shows of all time.
Oh my god, horror shows. Oh, what are you talking about, dude? So good. Ahat, and there's this show with that small Joker running around and killing people.
Yeah.
I remember watching Vikram and Betan, I guess. That was the show.
Yeah.
I really liked that actor who was there in it. Yeah,
Yes.
fun shows they were. Z Horror Show, X-Files, all these things.
And guys, if you don't know, we are the generation who saw ACP Pradyuman from that age when he was an inspector, okay? So CID just start हुआ था.
Oh my god. What are you talking about? Yeah, CID is it's like a cult. I mean, we grow up with that serial, yeah. Jo inspectors.
We've been watching CID when Daya was not there in CID.
I remember this one episode of CID. It was a one-shot episode, okay? They specifically mentioned that the entire show was shot in one shot.
Yeah.
And it's that one episode only. It continues with this one frame. So the camera keeps following them and they are doing the entire thing.
Yeah.
And
they got a world record set for that.
Yes. And later I read an interview somewhere a couple of years later that, because these guys were so involved in the show and it has been on since so many years.
Yes.
They were improvising the lines after some time. I was like, तुम shows की line improvise कैसे कर सकते हो?
Yeah, and I've seen like a lot of these shows are getting relaunched or there's being reboot, but nobody was able to recreate that magic which was there in 90s. Chandrakanta got rebooted, but again it was flopped.
Yeah.
Ekta Kapoor tried to recreate Mahabharat, but we all know what happened.
I think Ekta Kapoor's Mahabharat was way better than all of her other shows. Because the acting was really, they can never match the flavor of the older ones, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think there was not a connect with the audience. That is what I feel sometimes. But
I think also, this I don't want to say this generation, it will make me feel really old. I'm also from this generation. But
let's just coin the term millennials here.
Yeah, I mean, specifically for millennials, they are not interested in these kind of mythological shows, or maybe because we are not able to make it in a way. I mean, look at series like Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
See the VFX, see the animation, see the technology they used, and then see the serials like Nagin and where someone's turning into a monkey. So you know what I'm saying.
When I was doing my research for this episode of the podcast, I came
Yeah.
across a very interesting fact. You remember that serial on Ye Rishta Kya Kehlata Hai?
Oh my god. Oh my
That
god.
that
Please.
episode had one season, okay, and 5,000 plus episodes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because see, now it's not about the quality. Now it's about the quantity.
Yeah, it's just about
Stuff that used to come.
filling the screen time, and I don't know where this is going to take and that's why people are liking web series a lot nowadays because
Right, I think so because the content is really nice. वहाँ पे quality की बात है.
yeah, they have to grab your attention for a continuous amount of like 10 to 12 episodes, and then they leave you at a cliffhanger so that you wait for another season, which is
No,
like
also I think I think it's on the user consumption also, In the 90s, user consumption jo content they used to see, and then what they want to see now, I don't understand. The majority of the major consumption of OTT platforms content is, I think, by the millennials only. So they prefer that stuff. And people who watch television nowadays, I don't know why they prefer stuff like what's currently going on television. I have no idea why they do it.
even I have no clue.
We have moved past that. I think the 90s shows were one of the best shows we have seen in a long time. That's
Okay,
why
Tarushi.
That's why we keep rewatching them also and talk about them also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, like because they were also kind of special because it was not just a show, right? It was interactive with you. If you can go back and watch all these shows, you will see a lot of the things were depicted from the daily lives of common people, right?
Yeah, true.
And
True.
which between audience and the
and even you see the
actor.
costumes and everything was so normal, so daily thing kind of stuff, Now it's like waking up with makeup, you're sleeping with makeup, you have these designer clothes, designer saris, everything. No one wear those, in real life.
Yeah. Okay, Tarushi, if you have to pick one show from the 90s that you absolutely enjoyed.
I think, again, Shaktimaan is going to be my favorite. But other than that, I think Tutu Meme.
Okay.
That's going to be my all-time favorite if I have to pick it.
Sure. Alright, guys, please drop the comment below if you remember any show that you watched from the 90s. And thank you, Tarushi, for being a part of this episode.
I loved it.
It really, really, it's really, really good to see you doing so well. And hopefully to that amount of audience in time.
Thank you so much. I mean, I never knew that someone can invite me to be a podcast guest, but it was so much fun because I spoke like I was talking to my friend only. I didn't talk like it was an interview or something. So thank you so very much for having me. Thank you for talking to me and making me remember all those lovely shows from 90s.
The pleasure is all mine, man. So guys, drop a like on this episode. If you want to support the podcast, I'll leave my Patreon link in the description below. So this is Sufyan signing off. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So guys, that was it from this episode of That 90s Kid podcast. If you like this episode, please drop a like. If you love our work, please subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I will also share a Patreon link to in our description of this episode. Please become a Patreon. The Patreon followers get early access to all the episodes and some bonus stuff here and there. Thank you so much for joining us for one more episode of That 90s Kid podcast. I'll see you in the next one.